Now, after hours of a salvage operation that has gone through the night, part of the Sewol-ho ferry has emerged from the surface. It was no easy task considering the sheer size of the ferry and the strong currents in the area. Let's get an update on the progress from our Shin Se-min, who's on the ground for us. Se-min, are you able to see the risen ferry now?
Well, to answer that, Jihye, no, I don't see that. From where I'm standing at Paengmok-hang Harbor, the nearest land, the nearest point of land to the actual operation site, we are not getting a clear visual of the operation site. And in terms of the weather seems to be okay, but we've seen some drizzle in the early hours of the morning, but that doesn't seem to have affected the procedure of the salvaging operation. And in terms of the progress, the Oceans Ministry has confirmed a couple of hours ago that the part of the ferry is above the water line for the first time in nearly 3 years, and the engineers are working on the ship, tying it up to the jacking barges. This is a monumental task, you have to understand, bringing a 145-meter long, over 6,800-ton ferry up from the seabed. Such a dangerous and complex operation can only be done when the sea is calm, like today, with waves under 1 meter and with the wind speed below 10 meters per second.
Right. Now, so what's the timeline for the rest of the day, providing the weather and sea conditions stay favorable? Will we be able to see some progress on the salvage operation that we've been waiting for all these years?
It looks like if it goes as planned, which is the procedure that we're seeing at this point, the goal is to bring the ship up above the water level of which is 13 meters high, and that is by 11 a.m. according to the government's initial plan, roughly 3 hours from now. And the government has also set Friday, which is tomorrow, as a deadline to complete the first stage of the salvaging operation, which is to place the ferry onto a semi-submersible ship for transport to Mokpo Newport, some 90 kilometers away from the site. Now, Friday is the last day of the March neap tide, when the gap between the high and low tides is at its minimum. So if all goes as planned, the recovered ship will be placed at Mokpo Newport for search of the missing 9 bodies and for some answers as to what exactly had caused the man-made disaster.
Yes, and the incident was a tragedy, killing more than 300 people, mostly high school students, after the ship sunk off the nation's southwestern Chindo Island. Now, how are people there witnessing the scene? Do you see many relatives of the missing passengers?
Well, right here at the Paengmok-hang Harbor, not much. We're not seeing not much family members here, but we're seeing a lot of reporters, camera crews, and equipment, and broadcasting vans, and some local residents. Most of the family members of the missing passengers are out on the water on fishery patrol ships to get a closer look of the actual operation site out in the waters. But at this point, all of them are wishing for one thing, that the weather holds and the ferry can finally be brought to the surface, hopefully sending some of the missing ones back to their families. Jihye?
All right, thanks for that report, Se-min. Please keep us updated throughout the day. That was our Shin Se-min reporting live at the Chindo Island.